DALL-E 2 is probably the more publicly known version of these models. Stable Diffusion you can think of as like an open source version of DALL-E 2. So we'll be sticking with Stable Diffusion because that's the version that we can actually code with and modify and do cool stuff with. And there's actually more tools out there available since other tools can run it as well for free. All right, with that, let's look at how to get started here. So I think for your very first generation, for the very first kind of playing around that you do, it makes sense to use the paid tool from the company that created Stable Diffusion. They give you some free credits and it's a nice environment to just start testing things out. We're going to move out of it. We're not going to use it for very long, but it's a great place to learn some of the basics. So just type in DreamStudio in Google. You'll see beta.dreamstudio.ai. You'll need to create an account, but you can just do that with Google. You can continue with your Google account. And just like that, you're in. You're ready to go. Let's see if I can zoom in and make things really big and easy to see. All right. So here's a good prompt to start with. This is what they put in there by default. A Dream of a Distant Galaxy by Caspar David Frederick. Matte painting trending on ArtStation HQ. Let's see what we get. So we hit Dream. That'll generate an image for us. Yeah, pretty wild. So a few things you'll notice right away. We've got a bunch of different sliders and configuration values over here on the side. Clearly, this is meant for pretty nerdy people that are interested in generating art, right? So we can ignore those for the moment. I will talk through them. And then the other kind of strange thing is that we put in here a description of what it is that we want to generate. But then what's all this other stuff? Why would we give it the name of an artist, whoever that is, Caspar Friedrich? Matte painting, okay, maybe, that makes sense. But then trending on ArtStation? What? Like, excuse me? So this is called prompt design. And this is a key part of getting these models to generate art that you want. So describing it, you might call this the raw prompt. And then everything else here is about customizing the style and trying to create different effects that you're after. So I'll share a bunch of insights around that because that's a big key to all of this, really. So let's do our own prompt to start with. How about the inside of a steampunk factory? And we'll move up to, let's do 4 images. So one of the first things to know about these models is that randomness and luck are 2 of your biggest assets, really, the biggest tools in your tool belt, or most powerful tools in your tool belt, because you can generate a bunch. You could generate 10 images, and a lot of them may be pretty bad, but you'll likely get 1 or 2 that you really like. So generating more than just one is basically standard practice for using these tools, I think. Okay, that's kind of interesting. It looks like what it generated for us is more like photographs, really, of the inside of machine shops or I don't know, shipyard or something. That's not what I had in mind. I had in mind more of like a illustration, something more fantasy oriented, right? So one of the most powerful things you can do in prompt design is to add the name of an artist. And I happen to know that there's an artist named Andrew Ferez who works in the style that I'm kind of after here. And how I know that is something we'll talk about in a little bit, because that's really important, obviously, as well. I didn't know who Andrew Ferez was going into this. So there we go. That's a lot more what I had in mind. That feels more steampunk, right? It feels more fantastical.